Well, hello there, everybody. It is Friday. How are y'all? Good to see you. Thank you for, hey, dropping by, turning on, and tuning in. It's always better when there's more, you know? So, how is your day going? It is said that we live each day as a repeating pattern, that really, in the larger scheme of the things really don't change. We age, but we're always aging, and we've talked about that. But for the vast majority of us, we live in a repeating cycle. I've been listening to a lot of Richard Feynman. I love the guy, man. What a far out dude. Between him and Alan Watts, I mean, wow. So anyway, um, it's interesting how we perceive what we think is actuality, when in fact it's not. We're going to talk about that because I thought the title was so appropriate. We are God, and it's not that complicated. Got a great book I'm going to be sharing, and I love the esoteric philosophy of defining what we are individually. And individually, according to science, each of us are within ourselves, our own universe. Kind of interesting. We interact with other universes, other gods, other thoughts. Think you're going to like it. So, hello, chat room. What's up? Good to see everybody. Let me just speak favor over us all as I get this in there. There I am. There we go. Everything's fine. um, Again, let there be favor. I just speak it over us all. Nothing missing, nothing broken as I'm adjusting the fine tuning. And I like the nothing missing, nothing broken idea. It's a great concept. It's one that the universe is begging for us to adapt, but we find it to be contrarian, to be much more adventurous. Fact is, in a sense, if you look at what perfect peace is, it's the absence of inner energy, no energy, nothing. Hmm. Hmm. Sounds like death, right? It's like, okay, well, do we really want that? But anyway, yeah, peace is better always than war. And the mental health message for today for us all is to be kind to your mind. What a show yesterday with Mike and Cindy. Deep stuff. I also emails. I'm going to have Heather on. We're going to talk more about the inner world. It's amazing how that has more validity than what we can think because it all tied in together. Um, and I'll be getting Ryder on here. I think tomorrow I will be on Chris Matthews' show. So, um, what else going on as I read my notes? Egregores. Yeah, thought forms. And what did y'all think about my comment on this? My wife thought it was hilarious, but I was meditating and it hit me. It's like, you know, you never see a picture of God being bald. He's always got wild hair, beard. Never bald. I remember Elijah in my study of the Old Testament, Elijah was bald. And you can actually read this. I think it's in the book of Samuel. Or maybe second. So it's right in there with all Elijah being one of the major prophets. Then you had Jeremiah, who was called the crying prophet. What a wuss. But anyway, getting back to Elijah, he was a dude you just didn't want to fuck with. He didn't have this peace, love demeanor. Mm-mm. No. Prophets back then had great reverence, but they also had their detractors. And so the story goes that there were four youth who had come from the city and were basically mocking him for being bald. Pissed Elijah off. And so what Elijah did was that he called forth a bear to come out of the forest and killed the four dudes. The moral to that story is don't fuck with the prophets, even if they're bald or whatever. And then right after that thought, I had this picture of this alien gray in my head. And it occurred to me, I've never seen a gray alien, any alien, with a head full of hair. You don't see an Elvis, you know, don't see that. I mean, I'm just saying, um, they're all bald. So I don't get it, you know. So which is it? Anyone in the audience? Hello, everybody in the chat room. Yeah. You see, and it's interesting how we perceive this whole hair thing. Jesus, 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 he had, depending on the depiction of him, long, wavy, beautiful blonde hair. Don't know how a Middle Eastern man can do that, but all right. You know, think about it. And we got the carryover, whether that was from, the Cro-Magnons or whoever the hell it was, but, there are some people who are just fucking hairy. I'm not one of those, but there are just some people that, you gotta go, they almost don't need clothes because they got enough hair that it could almost, y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so anyone want to pontificate on why all the grays are bald? I mean, they don't have to worry about hair care products. You don't have to worry about how it looks cut. I always love the hairdos of the 50s and 60s. Have you seen some of the country and western women? Look at early Dolly Parton. I mean, Tammy Wynette is another one. I don't know what the hell they did to them. I asked my wife, I said, what is there, like, 5 pounds of Aquanet in there? But, hair's a big deal. And how about those look of Conway Twitty, huh? That's a hunk of hair. But anyway, you see, you never know what we're going to talk about because, that has to do with divinity. I mean, is the goddess bald? I mean, when we see bald-headed women, we kind of, think, well, that's just, yeah, you see? Who is the representative? Is it Presley? You know, I think the woman looks great. Doesn't need the hair. Gets in and out of the shower just like that, and get on with your day. But anyway, that's just my take. Robert Scott says a gray dolly. I always get the picture of Paul, right? The movie Paul. Great movie, by the way. Great, great humor. And who knows, it may be exactly like it. Seth Rogen, maybe he had an inside story, but I always think of Paul, bald as a baby's ass. I mean, you think about it, hygienically, being bald is, I think much more hygienically correct. You tell me. They say Olympic swimmers um, try to basically shave all the hair off because, even the little bit of hair is resistance. I don't know. Anyway, enough of that as we shall move on. Hillary says, not all women can sport the dome look. That's true. That's true. In my former teaching, Paul, that anti-feminist that he was, um, you know, he did say that a woman's beauty is her hair. So Then he told her to cover that up when you go into the house of the Lord. All right. I thought that was a perfect segue. I mean, what else can you say? Let's see. How many people are going to watch the Super Bowl? I've been reading some things like that, and I'm going, I don't watch it. I mean, why? It's it's an absolute waste of time, but that's just my opinion. And the other thing that's getting to me, I've been reading some stories of some, you know, the whole world's got the wrong perception of Satan. But these people who claim to be Satanists, they give Satan a bad name. Because, the dude or dudette, if it exists, ain't like that. But, I'm just saying, you know, remember, those who profess to be Satanists are nothing more than Christians. They're just on the opposite side of the coin. That's the problem with the whole theology. If one side wins, both sides lose. Figure that one out, right? Hello, John. How are you doing? Hello, everyone in the chat room. Rick, good to see you. PJM, good to see you. He's a Seahawks fan. There you go. Um, Operation Crossroads, Saturn deities are bald. I love that. You don't see many demons or angels that are bald. You don't. They all got hair. Maybe not in the sense that, I don't know. Um, Chris says my can't go bald. Bald, my head's too lumpy. See, I love it. Love this group. Love this group. Well, welcome everybody in there. Gaia and Paul and all the rest of you. Scotty, how you doing, brother? So, Rob, what's up? I'd rather watch the puppy ball. Let's see. There you go. So I want to talk about, came across a really interesting book that is worthy of this group's attention. And it is called the Oath, the Osho Book of Man. And this is really a cool book. And I just want to show you that we're not going to get onto it all obvious, but we will kind of look at each kind of opening chapter of each paragraph of each chapter. And it's interesting. I like the aspect of where this person's coming from. So you have the Adam, the victim, the slave. This is all about mankind. And when we say mankind, that's humankind. Women are involved. But although the book does clearly say that the unbalance that we currently have is that we all don't realize the divine feminine dwells within us all. We've just been taught how to ignore it, how to completely not recognize it. And that within itself brings unbalance. So you have the sun, the robot, the animal, the sexual manic, the monk, the homosexual, the Zora. Part two deals with Eve, the male, the beggar, the boyfriend, the husband, the father, the friend, the playboy. Part three is the politician, the priest, the scientist, the entrepreneur, the American, the Buddha. Part four, the new man, the new mediant, warrior, player, creator, the aging, the master, and then Zorba, the Buddha. God, are we or are we not? The conundrum that I faced within my religion was when I became aware. I'm going to sneeze, folks. Please. It's good to sneeze. Gets it all out, right? That I was worshiping a God that I wasn't really sure of, and just in all honesty, um, because I was reading at least two different gods, maybe three, possibly four. And this thing about my species as a contaminated species didn't quite make sense. I mean, how does a species become contaminated? Fallen, sin. And sin is the whole reason why the world's so messed up. And so we blame each other, and it never gets any better. It's designed that way. And through the years, I've just come to understand that it's not quite like what they tell us. It really isn't. There is something much more at work here. Um, so it says on the subject of the liberation of men, these archetypes defined by Adam, the robot, the beggar, the lover, politician, gambler, the creator, etc., should not be understood as types, fixed characters, or personalities, but simply as descriptions of certain tendencies, conditioning, and behavior patterns of the personality common to all beings human. As Osho indicates, the reality of the individual is beyond all these theories and categories. The archetypes concepts are used to help man recognize his particular mindset and then moving beyond the limitations and confines of the mind. For the purpose of going beyond the personality and discovering its original face, the true self and essential. So here's the introduction, and we'll get through the introduction. And I love the part when you get to the atom part. It's pretty cool. The liberation of men has not yet happened. Not just women, but men too. They need a great liberation moment. A liberation from the past, from slavery, the values that deny life, and the social conditions that have been imposed on humanity by all religions for thousands of years. Priests and politicians cause tremendous division in men. They create a guilt-ridden man who is alienated from himself, who fights against the permanent internal conflict that permeates all areas of your life. That is, a conflict between the body and soul, matter and spirit, materialism and spiritualism, science and religion, man and woman, West and East, and so on. And I always thought that so interesting. Never correlated that a politician is actually a priest. We elect members to go into Congress, and what they may not realize it is that they become part of this religion. The U.S. House of Representatives is a temple, not a gathering place. So next time you look at the politician that's speaking to you, remember, they're a priest of their religion. Life can be lived in two ways, either as a calculation in the field of science, of technology, mathematics, economics, be it like poetry in the field of art, music, beauty, and love. I like the second one, but I like the other part of the first two, right? Well, I'm a Gemini. What can I say? The great thing about us Geminis, we never get bored because we have two people to talk to. And as I have a t-shirt that says, yeah, I talk to myself because I need someone intelligent to talk to. Anyway, no comment in reference to anyone listening, right? I love y'all. Um, Now here's some more truth to the matter because it is truth. From childhood, Every man, every person, every boy, every girl is conditioned to behave and survive in this world competitive and efficiently oriented. He or she joins the fight and the ambitious race for money, success, fame, power, respectability, and social status. As a child, he already learns to adapt goals and values of parents and teachers, priests and politicians, and all institutional interest without ever questioning them. You see, we're not brought up to question anything. We're taught to obey. We're taught to accept. And how sad is that? That's why it's time for a change. Anyway, thus the individual is deviated from his or her true nature, from the original self, and loses the capacity for spontaneous joy, childlike innocence, and playful creativity. You know, I have people look at me sometimes because I still skip. I think it's important. I mean, if I'm pushing a you know, grocery cart, right? I can either walk behind it, use it as a crutch, or I can actually push it in front of me and kind of just skip. And people look at you because they think that this thing is like, well, that's an elderly dude. He's doing what a child does. They don't get it. I love that child. Still alive and doing well. Um, it's repressed in its creative potential, in its capacity to love, in its willingness to laugh, in his passion for life, among other things. It's crushed out of us. It's sad. And each generation passes it on to the next generation. That's sadder yet, right? Um, the way it is educated by society eliminates the sensitivity of the body and senses and makes you insensitive and dead. That's the problem with politics, with religion. They're all dead institutions. There's no life in it at all. It sucks. Just my opinion. Lose access to their own innate feminine qualities of feeling, kindness, love, and intuition, and transforms into a robot efficiently oriented by reason and without feeling. The problem with nihilism, which is at epidemic proportions, is that it robs the human experience of passion, empathy, and quite frankly, when a human soul loses that, it's no longer a living soul. Society teaches man to become a strong man, which is synonymous with suppressing his feminine qualities of softness and openness, love, and compassion. However, every man also has an inner woman within herself, her own unconscious feminine part or semi-conscious, which has been denied and repressed for thousands of years. Also highlights a third way of living life with meditation. The first step is Osho highlights is a third way of living life with meditation. The first step is recognizing the transforming power of meditation and awareness of becoming a mature individual and complete. Meditation is the catalyst that sets the inner growth process and the speeds up. Meditation makes man an integrated whole by creating a balance between his male and female parts. It teaches how to live and enjoy life in its multidimensionality, in a healthy balance between body, mind, and soul, between matter and spirit, between world, exterior, and interior. Man today is in a deep crisis. Given the global crisis that threatens the planet on the threshold of the third millennium, the question arises, what now, Adam? The limits of growth has been achieved a long time ago, and the belief is unlimited scientific or social progress. It was fundamentally distorted. All outer revolutions have failed. It's time for an inner revolution. Unless the individual starts to come out of their mechanical behavior similar to a robot and unconsciousness and starts living life with self-love, awareness, and deep respect for its true nature, there seems to be no chance the world can escape a global suicide. And that's truly what we're on. I do believe AI is the suicide device for mankind. It's amazing. I see now in the financial stories how now they're trying to respin this thing. It's like, well, you're still human. You can still control it. Liar. It's out of the box. The genie has left the bottle. Ain't gonna come back. The horse are way out of the barn. Yeah, we are on a global mission as a species to commit suicide. You look at what politicians have become so corrupted, but they're high priest within their religions. It tells you a lot of their gods. And I do not understand when one says, one nation under God, what God is thus thou speaking? Because the God that I see represented into those humans who have not matured or developed and become corrupted by thinking that they're above the common person, when they themselves are nothing more than asmites. Yeah, it's a new term. You can use it. But what is an asmite? Well, you know what a mite is. An asmite is one that lives on the anus of others. And it's basically consumes fecal matter because that's what an asmite does, and it extrudes fecal matter. I think it pretty well adequately describes the state of current politics today. We just didn't realize that they were asmites. That's all I got to say. So continuing on, let's get away from the global suicide, right? That just sucks. It's not a good time at all. Um, it says man needs a new psychology to understand himself, says Osho. And the basic understanding that needs to be deeply assimilated and experienced is that no man is just man, and that no woman is just woman, and that every man is so much man as well as woman, just as every woman is woman as man. Adam has Eve in him, Eve has in Adam in her. In fact, no one is just Adam, just as no one is just Eve. It gets back into the whole thing then, so androgynous. Is that what they did to us? Is that they found a species that the cedars had long since left, but they left us here, and apparently we're millions and millions and millions of years old. And apparently there was a time when we were not separated. Apparently we were very advanced. We'll read more about that. We are Adams and Eves. This is one of the greatest knowledge ever achieved. However, being conditioned to deny and reject his feminine qualities, the man was trained to repress your inner feminine part, which is reflected in the repression of the element female in the outside world. I mean, we live in a world, folks. I don't care what anyone says. It is anti-feminine, anti-woman. I mean, I could get into some really hot potatoes on the political and other type of things, but the fact of the matter, it's true. Our society, our religions, our philosophies are all male dominated, and that's why we have been out of balance for tens of thousands of years. And unfortunately, we've now created a system that is an androgynous system. AI is androgynous. The concept of the duality of the species is one of the things that it has over on us. It doesn't have that inner conflict. But you didn't think about that, did you? Unless you start discovering your own inner woman, then a man will be stuck in a frustrating search for the feminine qualities that are inherent to his nature outside in the outer woman. He needs to regenerate his feminine part in order to become healthy and whole, that is, complete within oneself. My vision of the new man is that of a rebel, a man who is looking for his self, original from its original face, a man who is ready to drop all mask, all the pretensions, all the hypocrisies, and to show the world what he really is. If he is loved or condemned, respected, honored or dishonored, crowned or crucified, it doesn't matter, as he is himself is the greatest blessing there is. Even if he is crucified, he will be crucified happily and completely satisfied. A real man, a man of sincerity, a man who knows about love and you know compassion and you understand that people are blind, unconscious, numb, and most often spiritually asleep. I love that. I mean, come on. So we'll kind of get in the first couple of paragraphs and then we'll skip on to the next chapters because I think I don't have a problem with the philosophy. I really don't. Part one, the atom. Adam was the first man, not the first man in fact, as there have been many others before him, but none of them said no. And so history could not record them since they had no egos. And this is my perception. How could Adam have been the first man? There may have been millions before him, but no one will ever said no. They couldn't become men, could not become egos. Adam said no. Of course, he suffered for saying this and was expelled from the garden of happiness. Adam is a man, and every man is like Adam. Every childhood takes place in the Garden of Eden. Every child is as happy as the animals, is as happy as the primitive being, so happy as the trees. Have you ever noticed when a child runs through the trees or on the beach? Because he is not human yet. The child's eyes, although clear, are still unconscious. She will have to leave from the Garden of Eden. This is the meaning of Adam's expulsion from the Garden of Eden, for he does not have any more part of unconscious happiness. Mm. Because his consciousness when eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge is when he became a man. He awoke. I love the take on this. Yeah. Something had to have happened in this thing. We know that Eden was in Sumer. So, all roads. Hello, Dr. Heather Lynn. Her book is out, The Anunnaki Revelation. I'm going to get my copy is coming, so check that out. I'm going to get her back on. And by the way, we will have Dr. Irene Blindstone on next Wednesday as well. So yeah, some good things getting Ryder back on. So anyway, getting back to this thing. So this this symbol of eating a fruit of waking up, the tree of good knowledge, right? Um, the fact is not that Adam was once cast out, but every Adam has to be cast out again and again. Every child has to be thrown out of the garden of God, for it is part of the growth. The pain is that of growth. The individual has to lose it to gain it again and earn it consciously. It is about your burden and your destiny, your anguish and your freedom, which is both a man's problem and a greatness. Why is it that man is never satisfied with who he is and with what existence offers you? You're always looking for something better to do, looking to be someone different, always wanting more when the other has more than he has when he was given. And the saying goes, the neighbor's grass is always greener. But why? Why is that? It's because man has been confused. It is directed to where nature does not foresee that he is. It doesn't move towards its own potential, is trying to be what others they want him to go, where they want him to go. But that cannot result in satisfaction. When there is no satisfaction, the logic says maybe it's not enough. Take more of it. So he goes after more, starts looking around, and everyone leaves with a smiling mask, which demonstrates happiness, so that they deceive each other. He also comes out with a mask, so that others will think he is happier. He thinks others are happier than himself. The neighbor's grass looks greener, but is it greener on both sides? The people who live in the other side of the fence sees your grass and it looks greener than theirs. It really looks greener, more thicker and better. This is the illusion created by distance. When you get closer, you can see that's not quite the case. However, people keep their distance. Even the friends, even the lovers keep a certain distance. We all keep within ourselves a distance that no one will ever touch. You can't. Why? Because to become too close is dangerous, since we can see your reality. How many masks do we put on each day? Deep, deep, deep stuff. And only a God, I'll advance a little bit in the book. Only God can do that. Male or female. God is not defined by sexual preference. But only a God can do this. What we're seeing is not the creation of an imaginary, unseen, so-called God of any religion. We did this. And it doesn't stop. The other side is so much like this side, there are key differences, but it is said that many still think they're alive in this realm. That's how powerful we are. We continue, and since man has been misguided from the start, anything he does will do to let him to remain unhappy. It's amazing how subconsciously we booby trap ourselves deliberately. You can't remain happy all the time. You have to understand the pain, the loss, in order to appreciate the peace and to be pain-free. People are more afraid of being that death hurts than remembering how bad pain, how bad birth hurt. Death is nothing compared to the birth. It's so painful, it literally wipes the disc. The pain is that intense. That's why you see the light. Um, it's like, okay. Nature has no notion of money. Otherwise, dollars would have grown on trees. Nature has no notion of money, as this is a pure invention of man. Not God, man. But it is an invention of God because God is man. It's useful, but it's also dangerous. When you see someone very rich, you might think that maybe the money brings joy. Eh. The most miserable sons of bitches and bitches I've ever met are the extremely wealthy. And I mean whether they were in the religion and the politics or whatever. Some really miserable fucking people. That's neither here nor there. I continue. um, Look at that person, how happy he or she seems to be, and then go for it of money. Someone is healthier, run after health. Someone is doing some other thing and looks very happy, so follow it. It's amazing how many rich commit suicide, how many rich are on heavy psychotic drugs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Amazing, isn't it? But is it always others? And society has organized itself in such a way that man will never think about your own potential. And the problem is, he's not being himself. Just be himself so that there is no suffering, no competition, no annoyance at the fact that the others have more and that he has no more than others. And for those who like grass more green, no need to look at the neighbors because you can make your own grass even greener. It's a very simple to make it look greener. However, you are just looking everywhere and all the lawns are beautiful except yours. The article goes on, and let's go into another part of this. So as you can see, it's amazing how they've conditioned us. And I am right there. I don't think there's anyone outside the lifeboat. We may have jumped the ship, but we're all still rowing together in this lifeboat. And the problem is, as the fugue and the mist lift, it's completely disorientates all of us. It is said that some of the fact of whether you have a tendency towards spirituality, a tendency towards, seeking leadership, whatever that is, we see that as actuality. And what we're not understanding is that we're immersed in each other's own creation. Now, whether these gods, these angels, these demons, whatever they are, do they exist? Well, if you look back in the archives and the study that we did on egregores, we create gods. We create thought forms. They're our creation. And quite frankly, I can say this literally. If you're into the worship or communing with these unseen beings, they're a demon because you think they're a demon. They're an angel because you think they're an angel. If you perceive them as with no harm, you will see them as with no harm. But if you see them with fear and trepidation, and that somehow they're superior to you and somehow that they have some right to accuse or to judge you, then that's exactly what they're going to appear as. Hmm. So I want to get back into this. This is such good stuff. Let's get into the victim, because we're all victims to a certain degree, right? That's how it works out. I mean, my spiritual background, training, initiation was the religion that I was involved was that there was a curse put on all humans, our species, by some superpower being, and that we are cursed to work for our daily bread by the sweat of our brow for as long as you're in this prison, this hell. And it's like a video game. If you understand what the rules are saying, there are hidden codes. You can take shortcuts, literally. All right, let's go with this first part. Why doesn't the individual know his own self? This should be the easiest thing in the world, and however, it became difficult. In fact, it's the most difficult. It has become virtually impossible to get to know you as the same. What went wrong? The individual has the ability to know. It is there. And the capacity of knowledge is there. So what went wrong? Why this ability to knowledge cannot turn to itself? Isn't that odd? You get people who spend, great deals of money talking to therapists, trying to get in there. We have regression therapy. Now the problem is you've got AI companion therapy, and I don't know where that leads to. But it's like we're born and they wipe our memory. They take the chapter away of something that we do normally anyway. Outside this realm, it's very normal to us. It's not a question of who or what we are. Maybe that's part of the test here. One could think. It says only one thing has gone wrong, and unless you correct it, the individual will remain in ignorance in relation to himself. And the thing that went wrong is a split that was created within him. He lost its integrity. Society has turned the individual into a broken house, that is, divided against itself. The strategy is simple and once understood can be removed. One of the things that, I still remember in the book of the Gospel of John, and I can read it in the book of Proverbs. A house divided against itself cannot stand. It's not religious. It's common sense. And so if you are divided within yourself, it's going to be a tough road to hoe, baby. And I know I went down that road. Took me a long time to come to learn just to love who I am. I am not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. I have no desire to be perfect because what I have found that I am perfectly perfect in my imperfection. It's why I'm here. It's why I will continue to be. The perfection is the trap. I was created as a curious being. The cruelest thing anything could have ever done in creating me was to give me all knowledge. That's sad. I've watched in my lifetime people who were given money because of family and etc., who never experienced life the way that I have. And so I don't believe any individual, I don't believe any God has all knowledge. I think that's part of the journey. Well, that's just me. You may have a different belief. Um, we continue. And it is as follows. Society provides man with the ideals of how he should be and reinforces these ideals so deeply in him that man becomes always interested in the ideal, how he should be, and forgets who he is. You know, think about it, it's just this subtle. Why do you look at yourself in the mirror? Why do you groom yourself? Why do you put on the pertinent dress, a blouse, suit, pants? Are you more concerned as you go outside into public how people are going to see you? Do you constantly judge yourself against others in how you perceive success, achieve success? Do you take on the ideals that if you lost or lose, that you actually lost or lost anything? The secret about losing is that it's often the one that wins the most. So we've gotten these ideals, they're so ingrained into us in the classroom, going into pre-K, kindergarten, through those very important formative years, through that first, second, third, all the way up to fifth grade, actually. Mm. People are obsessed with the future ideal and forget about the present reality. The eyes of people are facing the distant future, and that's why they can't turn to inside. They are constantly thinking about what to do, how to do it, and how to be. The language that they use became I must do or I have to. And the reality is just being and being. Yeah, it's that thing about living in the moment, huh? Yeah, much more easier. It's like, yeah, try to do that in reality. A rose is a rose. There's no doubt that it is something else. And the lotus flower is a lotus flower. Neither the rose tries to become a lotus flower, nor the lotus flower tries to become a pink. So they are not neurotic. They don't need a psychiatrist or psychoanalyst. The pink is healthy because it simply lives in its own reality. And so it is with the existence as a whole, except with man. Only man has ideals and must do this and that one and do that. He must be this and he must be that. And so he is divided against his own being, should and be. They are enemies. And he can't be anything he isn't. Need to let it anchor deep in the heart. Man can only be what he is, and never anything else. One time deepening this truth that I can only be myself, all the imposed deals disappear. They are automatically discarded. And when there is no ideal, there is reality. Hence, then the eyes are turned towards the here and now, and therefore the man is present for what he is. The division disappears. The man is a complete being. This is the first step, being one with yourself, and it's hard given so much conditioning, so much education, so many civilizing effects. If you take the first step of just accepting and loving yourself as you are, moment by moment, for example, you are said right now is sad. All your conditioning tells you you mustn't be sad, is bad, must not stay sad. You have to be happy. Now, the division, and hence the problem. You are sad. That is the truth right now. And your conditioning and your mind says you don't and shouldn't look like this. You have to be happy. He used to smile. What will people think of you? Your wife can leave you if you're too sad. Your friend can desert you if you're too sad. Your business will be destroyed if you remain too sad. It needs to laugh. It needs to smile. It has for less than pretending to be happy. If you are a doctor, patients will not feel well if you are very sad. They want a doctor who is happy, healthy, but he seems to be very sad. Need to smile. Even if he can't produce a real smile, it should be a printed on the face of the fake smile. So long as it's a smile, you must at least pretend or act. This is the problem, pretending, acting. It is impossible to produce a smile, but, it is possible to produce a smile, but with the person turns into two others. He represents the truth and became the imposter. And the imposter is appreciated by society. The imposter becomes the saint. The imposter becomes the great leader, and everyone starts following the imposter. The imposter becomes the ideal of all. That's why the human being is incapable of knowing himself. How can you know yourself even if you don't accept yourself? It represents your being constantly, what should be done there. When you are sad, you need to accept the sadness. This is the feeling that man is having to facts. You shouldn't say, I'm sad. It should not say that sadness is something separate from you. He can simply affirm, I am the sadness. Right now, I'm sadness. Need to live your sadness with complete authenticity. And you will be surprised when a miraculous door opens to your being. To the living, your sadness without the image of being happy, the man is happy immediately because the division fades away. There is no longer any division. I'm sadness, and there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about any ideal of being something else. So There's no effort, no conflicts, just that. And feeling of relaxation, relaxation that translates into grace and joy. All the pain psychologically only exists because people are divided. Pain means division, and happiness means the absence of division. It may seem paradoxical. If someone is sad and accepts their sadness, how can you become joyful? It may seem paradoxical, but that is how it happens. Just try it. Now, there we go. I didn't even get the other part. Um, but I kind of dig this. I mean, let me know what your comments. And it goes on, as I said, into each different attributes. And you can see each chapter is much more in depth because we don't have the time. But if you want the PDF, I'd be more than happy to share it with you. I think you can really dig it. Let's just get one little piece here of the slave, because this, I think, applies to all of us as well. One of the problems that every human being has to face is the world in which he is born, and you, being, and the intentions of the world do not go together. Isn't that the truth? How many times have you found that there seems to be an opposing force to your intentions? And that the more you concentrate on the intention, the greater the opposing force seems to be. Yeah, you can get frustrated with that. You can say, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. That doesn't work. That manifesting, confessing stuff, it actually does, but it's actually the laws of nature. For every force, there's an equal and opposing opposite force. You just have to be able to have enough inertia to your force to overwhelm the opposing force. I love Richard Feynman. He's become like my. It's like I've gotten into his lectures now, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I can adapt that. Um, the world wants man to serve, to be a slave, to be used by those in power, and of course, he resents it. He wants to be himself. The world does not allow anyone to be what they should be by nature. Oh no. No, the world tries to mold each person into a commodity, useful, efficient, obedient, and never, never rebellious, never assertive, never able to declare his own individuality, but always subservient, practically like a robot. The world doesn't want men or women to be human beings either. Yes, it is that they are efficient machines. The more efficient a man or woman is, the more respectable and the more honored they will be. I mean, there was a time in my video days where I actually had to go to a course on etiquette protocol. When you're around dignitaries, there is a specific protocol that must be followed. And if you don't follow, then you will be shunned as a commoner. You're ignorant. You're not capable of having to be around such class. Seriously. Yeah, it's real true. And particularly in politics. Mm. All right. That's all I got to say. Um, no individual is born to be a machine. It is a humiliation, a degradation, which steals pride and dignity and destroys you as a spiritual being and reduces you to a mechanical entity. That's why every child, from the beginning, as he or she becomes aware of the intentions of society, of parents, family, educational system, nation, religion, begins to close in on itself. It starts to become defensive, simply out of fear, because you have to find enormous strength. And it's very small and fragile, vulnerable, helpless, very dependent on the very people against whom he must protect himself. I mean, this is a messed up realm because we come into this thing and we're just assaulted. Each one of us are gods. And what we find ourselves is that when we take on the flesh of mortality, we strip ourselves of the dignity of our godhood. And taking on mortality as flesh, wow, it's a complete mind coitus thing. And I'll probably continue on this because this is some great knowledge that we are. And as I look at the time, I apologize on it. I just happen to think that when I can read material like this, as opposed to all the shit that AI tries to throw on to me, that whether it's Fox News, CNN, local news, it's all bullshit. It's all designed to distract you. It's not about going inside. It's not about finding solutions within. No, it's about showing us constant division, constant conflict, chaos, and that's what they want us to do. We're gods. If they didn't show us that shit, it wouldn't manifest. If they were to show us an hour, half hour of pleasantries of learning how to find meditation within and how we could begin to alter weather patterns, how we could begin to alter reality itself, now that would be news. So, ah, well, thank you, Regina. Thank you. I love this stuff, and that's why I do it. And I'm glad that y'all like it too. The title of the channel is The Journey. It's in this, I dig it. When I come across something that just has a beautiful resonance to it, it has a beautiful smell. I mean, because you read this and you go, yeah, guilt, yeah, yep, that's true. Been there myself. And the whole thing about duality of the existence in duality, it's a house divided against itself. There will never be any unity in duality. Dualism is the opposer to any unification. And that's our lessons for today. Hey, Gaia, how you doing? Hello, Susie Q. Good to see you. Scotty Boy, much love to you. Robert Scott and all the rest of y'all. Yeah, anyway, cheers. I hope you found this good. If you want more of it, let me know because it's good stuff. It's a good read. And maybe that's what they fear about us the most. Every politician, every government surveillance system, AI itself, is that he's teaching people to become gods. That's dangerous. If they start believing this, they're going to become an opposing force to us. We've got to divide them. We have to find and put others in there that will cause the inner turmoil. Well, for this group, that doesn't work. We spot you immediately and we will boot your ass out. We don't want that. Don't need it. So, anyway, I love this group. A lot of love going in there in this group. That's what I can see. Hey, Rob, what's up? Chloe, so good to see you, sweetie. Hope everything is well. Lost in Space. What's up, brother? So, yeah, and I'll continue to do it. You can never run out of material when you have this. I think it's great. Others would say that this is sacrilegious, this is sinful. No, we're gods. It's about time we start acting like it. It's about time we start accepting responsibility that each of us within us are gods. And that's with the big G, not small g, big G. Well, we're all there. We're all the original OGs, right? God, it feels good to be a gangster, right? Anyway, folks, no problem booting. We just, you know, this the bots, sometimes they're just really nasty. It's like, geez, this is what AI produces? Not going to happen. You know, uh, we'll just, lay hands on them, as they would say. All right, everybody, have yourself a great weekend. And like I said, tomorrow I will be, I don't know if Chris does his show lives or not, but Forbidden News. And like I said, we'll be any other people we want to go visit the underworld. I often wonder what they must think about us. You know, maybe they realize that they are gods and they're going, oh crap, they're really kidding this. We've got to remove those that are talking like that. That's typically what happens. That's why they burned us at the stake. That's all I got. Um, anyway, have fun. See you on Monday. Monday. And hey, it's going to get a little warm, so here in the States, but don't fall for it. It's a fake you out. I mean, yeah, I think there's still part two to come. All right, Troy, much welcome to you. Hello, Jules. Much love and gratitude to you. All right, until we see each other again, keep smiling, keep creating. You know, it's the most thing. There's only one of you. That's what so makes us so unique. I mean, we all may be blended into the great higher consciousness, but that higher consciousness digs it. And I really think it really digs it when it finds out that its creation suddenly realizes that, you know, it's us and us is it. And then it waits for us to see what we're going to create individually, collectively. Yeah, that's all right. First grade, I always liked getting the gold star. I figured that out. So we're all going to go for our gold star. All right, everyone, until we see each other.